cannot sit by while the obscenity which is happening in Gaza continues to happen.
Jerome is a candidate for Victorian Socialists, the only political party in Australia that unequivocally stands on the side of Palestine. He is somebody who's been coming to Palestine rallies for decades and speaking on the behalf of the oppressed. So give it up for Jerome.
Thank you. There's a stench, there's a smell all week that's been preoccupying me. And I'm not talking about the smell of the sea that Summer Sabawe so movingly talked about in The Age. The smell of the sea at Gaza on a summer's day. You should read her article. I'm not even talking about the smell that people talk about in Gaza today. The smell of death, the smell of fear, the smell of white phosphorus. I'm talking about the god-awful stench of hypocrisy of the Australian government. And one example of this, a couple of mornings ago on Radio National, Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong was asked just after Israel had cut off electricity, had cut off water, had cut off fuel, had cut off every item of food to the Gaza Strip, and Penny Wong was asked what is Australia's attitude, and her answer was, it's a long way away. It's difficult to tell. Shame. And she was asked, she spoke on the subject again just yesterday, and this is after a week where more than 2,000 Palestinians have been slaughtered, while homes, while streets, while blocks, while whole neighbourhoods have been obliterated, while 27 different ambulances have been shot up, while 15 hospitals have been rained down with bombs and white phosphorus. She was asked about it again, and she muttered something, she murmured something about international law, like it was meant to mean something. Penny Wong and the Australian government are stuck for words. So let's give them some words. Words like obscene, words like horrific, words like war crime. And there's a couple of other words that have been said already today. And one of them is catastrophe. Because there's a whole gleeful wing of the Israeli political and military establishment that are keen on reenacting the Nakba, and not just keen on it, not just talking about it like it's some theoretical thing, but taking pleasure and smirking through interviews, like the former Deputy Israeli Foreign Minister on Al Jazeera just a couple of nights ago, smirking as he talked about driving the Palestinians into the desert of Sinai. Shame. And Penny Wong is somehow lost for words, and it's a long way away. Well, they're raining down 6,000 bombs on an area half the size of Canberra. It's like 1/6 of the size of Melbourne. 6,000 bombs on that. And Penny Wong is stuck for words. The other word that she might want to talk about, that of course Labor never wants to mention, is genocide. Because what is happening in Gaza is the destruction of the means of life to physically prevent a people from surviving, the Palestinian people, and that is the dictionary definition of genocide. That is what the Israelis are doing. That is what the Australian government can't even bring themselves to say. Shame. But there's another word which I want to talk about, and that word is solidarity. Because many people are here today, have ties of faith, have ties of kin, have ties of heritage, have all sorts of ties with the region. I'm not one of those people. I stand with Palestine for 3 reasons. I stand with Palestine because I cannot sit by while the obscenity which is happening in Gaza continues to happen. But also because I know that the liberation of Palestine is tied up with the liberation of people all around the world. Martin Luther King once observed that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And Israel keep on demonstrating that. Companies like Elbit Systems keep on demonstrating that. A couple of years ago, Elbit Systems market their battlefield solutions as battlefield tested. Their means of coercion, of surveillance, of death, of torture are marketed around the world to police stations in the United States, and I'm going to call it to the Australian Federal Police here, who had a $35 million contract with Elbit just a few years ago. So those technologies, if we care about freedom in this country, we have to care about freedom in Palestine. There's one more connection to make, which is a connection of empire. And if you've been paying attention in Australia, you know that we might not be able to fund hospitals, we might not be able to fund social services, but the government has said that they intend to find $368 billion over the next decade on nuclear-powered death machines. The existence of Israel is because a bunch of imperialists drew lines on a map to get control of Middle Eastern oil. And those lines are about to be redrawn in the Middle East and around the world. And the Australian ruling class in AUKUS, with the US ruling class, with the British ruling class, are preparing for that. And what's happening in Israel is one part of that preparation. So if we want a world without war, if we want a world without the preparations for war, if we want a world without racism and oppression, we have to stand with the Palestinians. And Penny Wong can't find the words. It's a long way away. It's very difficult. We know that the struggle for a free Palestine is right here. And it starts with us. And it starts with us coming back time after time after time after time. While the destruction continues in Gaza and far beyond, we have to keep saying, we will stand with Palestine. Thank you.